Shalom to the Bakarim, the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and speckled birds, scattered across the four corners of the earth through captivity for our iniquities. We'll start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and elders, that great millstone that wrote well. I wanted to get into this article in Carnegie Endowment that shows the monumental amount of protests that went down this year in 2023. Okay, it's titled Widespread Citizen Anger Continues with Sources Multiplying. All right, and it's to the point where these protests were innumerable this year. All right, to where they couldn't even truly quantify the amount of uprisings and anti-government protests that occurred. It says political overreach, economic pain, and violent conflicts drive another year of surging protests. The tide of anti-government protests that has roiled countries across the globe in recent years continued in 2023, as documented in Carnegie's Global Protest Tracker. New protests erupted in 83 countries, from China and the Democratic Republic of the Congo to Iraq and North Macedonia. 7 countries that had not experienced major protests in the past 5 years joined the club: Denmark, French Polynesia, Mozambique, Norway, the Republic of Ireland, Suriname, and Sweden. In addition, some demonstrations that began prior to this year persisted, including teachers' protests in Hungary, anti-ruling party demonstrations in Bangladesh, and displays of opposition to Tunisian President Kais Saied July 2021 self-coup and his crackdown on the opposition. Iran's large protest movement, which began October 2022 following the death of Mahsa Amini in police custody, and popularized the slogan, Woman, Life, Freedom, also continued, though the government's crackdown on dissent has challenged the movement's ability to hold demonstrations. Okay, so we see a complete eruption of these anti-government uprisings. Okay, it's a it's a revolt or rebellion, likened unto revoltings. All right, and a lot of these have escalated into violence with the death of some of the protesters. Okay, what do they call them? The demonstrators and shit like that, or the fucking government officials. All right, police officers, the different people who are appointed to attempt to quell these demonstrations. Okay, some of the year's largest demonstrations were in response to assaults on democracy and attempts by political incumbents to shield themselves from meaningful contestation to be contested, right? So a lot of these were as a result to, as it said, government overreach, political overreach. All right, basically when the government fucking um, they go too far. All right, they start to oppress the fucking people of whatever country, the citizens of that region. All right. Well, for example, the whole fucking C-19 bullshit. All right, you had measures like that and lockdowns and all kind of mandates that were released and enforced in these other countries, man, that completely um, were they're in violation of these people's so-called rights. All right, they're extremely oppressive. See, and the people ultimately aren't going to fucking stand for that. When it talks about when the people have nothing to lose, they lose it. Okay, and you can only do this so fucking much to a people until they break. Okay, or they snap, which is what you've seen. The people are on the brink of fucking oblivion, and at that point, it's fucking it's no holds barred. Okay, anything goes in the way of violence and mayhem, and that's what the fuck we're gonna see in this place for for these people's pride. All right, talks about many great miseries that are gonna befall this place. This is a part of the calamities Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is bringing to close the book on this fucking place, man. Just like in Genesis 6, okay, the Most High has to do a number to the inhabitants of the earth. Again, it says approximately 1 million Poles took to Warsaw's streets. The Poles are those Polish. On October 1st for the March of 1 Million Hearts, which decried the Law and Justice Party's assaults on the country's democratic institutions and mobilized the opposition for the October 15th national elections. In Israel, prior to the October 7th Hamas attacks, hundreds of thousands participated in weekly protests against the government's plans to reform the judiciary that the opposition claimed would weaken checks on the government's power. Okay. Tens of thousands. See, this is one of the constants that you see these people not standing for their governments, pretty much exacting too much control upon their people. All right. It says, and it's only going to get worse. We're going to find out in the scriptures. It says, tens of thousands protested in Georgia against the bill targeting foreign agents that opponents said mirrored legislation Russian President Vladimir Putin has used to stifle dissent. Okay, pretty much to prevent, and really not only to prevent, stifle goes into to pretty much to fuck up, for lack of a better term. Okay, somebody stifled. Let's just find out. To make someone unable to breathe properly, to suffocate. Okay, to restrain or stop oneself acting on an emotion, to suppress. Right. It's just like that the term that we just used, to quell. All right. To choke back. Right. To swallow up. Okay. To smother. Oh, look, oppressive. Right. To try to fucking to stomp it out, stamp it. Okay. Dissent, which is going against the fucking government and all these uprisings, these uproars. Okay. It says demonstrations proved successful as Parliament withdrew the bill. Man. All right. And that's going to do it. If it interests you to go into, to expound on it across this whole fucking planet, man. Look at this: Mozambique, Nigeria, Guatemala, Central African Republic, Chad, and Madagascar. Pakistan, Portugal, Slovenia, Nigeria, France, Czech Republic, and other Indian states. This thing is everywhere. Okay, this thing is fucking incessant as well. When you go into how they're not ceasing, these protests have been going on for consecutive days, going into years. Okay, 400, 400 day, fifth hundred day of fucking protesting straight. Okay, as these things are skyrocketing and continuing to spread across the planet, man. And it's only going to culminate in fucking destruction. Just as we've gone into it, the cyber pandemics, all these cyber attacks, EMPs and shit that's going to take out the grid. These people are going to go at each other's throats. Okay, it was the same for this. Okay, these fucking protests. They're going to go and do like in the French Revolution and storm the Bastille in all their respective areas that they're in. Okay, they're going to go after these fucking government officials. All right, it aims to put them to death. All right, or to destroy. Okay, to extract resources from. Okay, to keep as a play toy. All right, or cannibalize. It's gonna be very fucking vicious and brutal. The times that we're coming in, man. This is in Second Esdras 9. It says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So the men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai are required to measure the time diligently, okay? Waiting to stay up on it daily. And you measure the time by monitoring current events that are going down across the world and matching them up with these scriptures, okay, with the prophecies, really the prophetic timeline, this biblical prophetic timeline where it shows us to an extent the order in which these calamities are going to befall this place. For example, we know that this thing is going to end in thermonuclear fire, all right, as well as chariot fire. And then we know, though, before that, that the chip has to come, the charagma, the MOTB, okay, and then we're going to have to see uh, global a global all-out conflict in the form of World War III. Okay, so we're required to measure these scriptures. Okay, use the measuring tool of these scriptures against the current events that are going down before our very eyes. All right, across the planet, and this being one here is just telling you to see the part of the signs that are coming to pass that he told us before. That's what prophecy is. Okay, this is the signs of past that he told us before. That's prophecy. Okay, and then through that you're gonna understand that it's the very same time that the Most High is visiting this fucking place. That's why you see in over 83 countries on this planet, there's major uprisings and uproars that are going down. Okay? It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Okay? Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, For like all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So it's telling you that when you measure the time, okay, measure the biblical prophetic timeline, these prophecies against current events, and you see, and when you do that and you see that there's earthquakes and uproars of people in the world, then it's telling you that then you're going to know that we're at the end. That then you're going to know that the end is manifest. Okay. So this is a major indication of where we're at. Okay. In the timeline. Even though it does tell us, for example, in Luke 21, that it is not the end by and by. Okay. But we're closing in on the last of the order. It's likened into an order of operations. Okay, we're closing in onto the final prophecies of this thing, man. And we know that the earthquakes and uproars of the people, specifically these uprisings, these revoltings, okay, is going to culminate. It's going to fucking go haywire just before these final prophecies, likened into World War III, the MOTB, and then the thermonuclear missiles. Okay, and it's really, when you go into these prophecies, it's really simultaneous with the economic downturn, because there's going to be economic collapse across this planet. All right, with the plagues, okay, as well as just what it said, these earthquakes, which are natural disasters. Don't think these fucking people are going to escape getting jacked up from the Most High by these natural disasters. Okay, weather anomalies. That's in there as well. Okay, so this is how we know that the end is manifest. This is in 2 Edges 15:16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. In Salakia, going back into that Luke 21, it says that there will be commotion, right? Let's pull it. Luke 21, in the 9th verse, it says, But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Because according to the biblical prophetic timeline, we know what the end consists of, what that entails. Okay, the finale. So this word commotions literally goes into uprisings, man. All right, confusion. Akatastasia. Akatastas. Akatastasia. Akatastasia. Instability, a state of disorder, disturbance. Okay, because they call those shits public disturbances and shit. Okay, and then in the Strong's definition, it says disorder, commotion, confusion, a tumult. Okay, so it's literally going into these uprisings. All right, so back in 2 Edges 15:16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. Okay, let's get this word sedition. We know we don't have it in the blue letter, but this resource, the AV1611.com, is a fire glossary for terms that are in the Apocrypha. Okay. to get a further breakdown and expound. This word sedition, it says the sense of this word is the contrary of that which is naturally deducible from sedo or sedeo, denoting a rising or raging rather than an appeasing. Okay, so this is in a denotation of a rising or a raging. It says, but to set is really to throw down, to drive, and sedition may be a setting or rushing together. It says a factious commotion of the people. What did it just say in Luke 21? Okay, commotion, a tumultuous assembly of men rising in opposition to law or the administration of justice, and in disturbance of the public peace. Okay, did we not just go into that? I believe it used all three of these words: disturbance, commotion, and tumult. Right, tumultuous assembly. Man, let me read that again. A factious commotion of the people, a tumultuous assembly of men rising in opposition to law or the administration of justice, and in disturbance of the public peace. And that's exactly to the T, the literal current events that you have going down right before your fucking face, man. These scriptures that are hopping off of the page, all right? This says sedition is a rising or commotion of less extent than an insurrection, and both are less than rebellion, okay? But understand that sedition is just a form of insurrection and rebellion. And you have to understand that a sedition, that an insurrection and a rebellion starts with a sedition, and it just graduates, and it exacerbates, and it gets worse. All right, and such is the case here. You see these things, they started fucking so-called civilized, and then they became a great disturbance to where now they're fucking throwing boulders, uh, um, hitting up these so-called law enforcements that are trying to sequester these fucking protests. They're hitting them up with handmade weapons and shit like that, shanks and knives. Okay, fucking Molotov cocktails. So we see how this thing is getting exponentially more brutal and violent. So it's in Great Britain. I'm not. What's it say? But some kinds of sedition in Great Britain amount to high treason in general. Sedition is a local or limited insurrection in opposition to civil authority, as mutiny is to military. Okay, so sedition is among men. Okay, at this current juncture, it says, "They shall not regard their kings nor princes." What did it just say about them going against an established order? Okay, it said in opposition to the law or the administration of justice. Okay, that's your your kings and princes. Okay, so that's who they're appointed by. And in times of old, the ones who made those and fucking established legislation was the kings and princes. So it's synonymous. All right. It says in the course of their actions they'll stand in their power. So whatever the fuck they want to do, if they want to kill and maim, okay, if they want to brutalize and vandalize, they're going to be able to, and that's exactly what the fuck they're doing. Okay, and finishing off. Second Edges 16 and 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap. The point is in the second stanza of this verse, but it applies with what's going down even currently about you, because you still have these victuals, these goods, these cheap ass fucking products. You still have them right now at a still a virtually inexpensive rate that you could obtain these fucking cheap goods for. All right, but that time is winding down as well, because like um, the elder Muatazak brought out in a few camp videos from a few camp sessions ago, a few weeks ago, on their Saturday camp session, he um, he brought out the point that while you might have certain victuals and certain items that are cheap, okay, that are inexpensive, likening to maybe some of these appliances, okay, or for example, some of these fucking products that people get for entertainment. All right, that's one of the main things people fucking buy is shit to entertain themselves, distract themselves, amusement. Okay, that's pretty much on the low. And then you had gas. You had gas on the low, right? To get these people thinking that they're in a comfortable state. But then you might have certain things that are on the low, but you have a whole litany of other shit that is astronomical, shit that's risen to exorbitant amounts, like into fucking groceries, okay, or or vehicles, okay, which you have those two categories of shit, and even property has fucking hyperinflated, okay. So we're really winding down on that time of shit, victuals being cheap, but it's it was par for the course in this timeline for how shit was gonna go down. You even had this shit called QE, the quantitative easing that this place is likened into the bomb. Okay. And that's the spirit, because the victuals being cheap is likened into the bomb, them attempting to heal this fucking place. And that was the same thing with they did with the quantitative easing. And they had several go rounds of that shit because it was unsuccessful. Okay. It says that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, and even uh, then shall evils grow upon earth. And that's exactly the time we're in. Bad times are growing exponentially. Okay. The sword, famine, and great confusion. We just brought it out. Confusion is synonymous with commotion. Okay. Which we found out is a tumult or sedition. Okay. It's what happens before a an all out rebellion, which was like the French Revolution. Okay. Which is a complete fucking bloodbath. The regular townsfolk, they they stormed the Bastille, all the castles and fucking royal palaces of these elites, and they put them all to fucking death. Okay, and raided their shit. That's exactly the time that we're coming into, man. That great confusion going into the commotion of these fucking people, these uproars that are going down like like fucking crazy, man. Okay, which is in exact accordance with biblical prophecy that we're witnessing that these things transpire, closing in on the end. All right. So with that, we give all praises, honor, and glory to my Father Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakaha Kadash. Shalom.